I don't think man was made to live in isolation. But if we don't have face-to-face contacts with people every day, then we are going to suffer as a human race. We learn from each other, we give, we receive.
When you move to a new country, it can be very difficult to find community. What a lot of migrants feel is you feel isolated.
I guess the best way to kind of explain addiction is every day that one thing drives your life. That's all you want to do, is to keep connecting with that one thing every day, because it stops you having to think about the bad things in your life by blanking out the stuff in your mind.
New Start Garden helps people within the community who are needy people who don't have food. The main philosophy of the gardens here is it's a place where people and plants grow together.
New Plymouth is a garden-filled seaside town at the base of snow-capped Mount Taranaki, known for its many walking and cycling tracks, art exhibits, eateries and friendly locals. New Plymouth is a little bit of heaven on earth. But New Plymouth is more than the sum of its exquisite natural beauty. It is a place where a community is thriving and everyone is finding home. Welcome to Finding Home, New Plymouth.
As they say in New Plymouth, it's between the mountain and the ocean, and that's what makes it great.
So I love New Plymouth because it's a small community. The mountain is absolutely majestic. I love the beach. New Plymouth is a lovely place to live.
I have lived here all my life, so I know people around the area. I find them very friendly. I find that place really easy to get around. We don't have traffic here.
Beautiful and picturesque all year round, surrounded by beautiful beaches. So there are lots of places for long walks.
Very friendly people, and most of them are sort of interested in you. You can be part of the society and the community, even though you might only be new into the community, they soon welcome you in.
I was born in a city called Harare, which is the capital city of Zimbabwe. I was born into a family of 4 siblings. I come from a very large family, so we're very family orientated in Zimbabwe. We believe that you're everybody's child. Within our Shona culture, the word for my mother's sister is almost the same as the word for my mother, because they are considered our mothers as well, and we can treat them as mothers. My cousins are considered my sisters and my brothers. So that's me and my brother. I must have been 3 and he must have been maybe 5 or 6, just starting school. That's Abyssinia when he was young, sitting on the old speakers. Supersonic speakers.
Radio.
This is our wedding when Abyssinia and I got married. We got married in Zimbabwe on our parents' farm. It was a country wedding, wasn't it?
Yes.
We had many, many, many guests. We moved to the UK in the year 2000. My husband, myself and my young daughter, we left Zimbabwe and went to the UK because we wanted to study further. My husband wanted to specialize. He's a medical doctor.
This is us just after we moved to the UK. And at the time, Oli was what?
3.
3 years old, yeah. Difficult to start with though. You know, we had to make our way, try and find paths to our careers, and I had to do medical licensing exams before we finally got settled. The first thing is we knew that it was going to be difficult. Mm-hmm. People kept telling us that we got married young, so I think right from the start we were determined to make it work and to prove people wrong.
So this is me graduating from the University of Manchester with a Master of Pharmacy degree. This is Abyssinia graduating into the Royal College of Radiologists of the UK.
Well, painting, to me, is relaxing. I don't find it stressful. I can paint a picture, and if I don't like it, right, I say, well, that's not good. I will then get the undercoat, white undercoat, paint over the top of the whole thing, about 3 or 4 coats, and start something else on it. No stress, you know. Once I start painting, the mind takes over, the mind starts to work the hand, and you don't think too much. You just go, 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 go. And then when you produce something and you exhibit it and somebody buys it, that's exciting then.
Growing up in Australia, Ian struggled with reading and believed school wasn't for him.
And looking back, I was dyslexic. And back in those days, it was not recognised as a problem at all. When I got to year 9, they told me, don't bother coming back, you're not university material, so go and get a labourer's job. But later on, I got the opportunity to go to a boarding school in Western Australia called Carmel College. And so I went there and I finished off my high school education. Later I got the opportunity to go to university and applied at Charles Sturt University there to do a bachelor's degree in education, which I completed. Got a master's degree from the same institution. Not bad for someone who got kicked out.
Ian spent years teaching all around Australia and ended up in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, the year I went to PNG, I wasn't going to be teaching children anymore, but I was going to be training teachers and teachers training of young people. And that was exciting, really was. While I was in PNG, we mentored a lot of students. We had them in our home. These guys in Papua New Guinea now, they have Facebook, and so many of them now are contacting me and saying, hey, Lick Lick Diwai, that's what they called me. That was my name up there, Lick Lick Diwai in Pidgin English. They say, hey, Lick Lick Diwai. Oh, I'm teaching at so-and-so. Oh, I'm principal of this. Oh, I work for the government. I'm a government inspector. I've left this legacy now that I'm old, and I look back and I say, wow, I really did achieve something.
Teacher's Aide Murray has discovered his life purpose is mentoring young people.
I've been teacher aiding now for close to 10 years. It's been a huge journey for me, and I've been able to navigate some very difficult situations with kids. I think it was maybe the second job I had where I had a boy. He'd actually been through 6 teacher aides, and one of them had been a child psychologist for over 10 years, and he lasted a week. And I came on the scene, and I was just able to see through the behaviours and to look at the person and to look and to know that there's a better person waiting inside to come out. We just have to be patient and continue to love and nurture them. And I'm still dealing with a lot of kids, I guess, that don't fit the criteria of school. It's hard for them to operate under whatever conditions they have. So growing up in Auckland, I was about 8 or 9. Mum and Dad experienced some problems and they decided to split up. It was quite devastating. I couldn't understand why. I think for a lot of parents, they think as long as they keep loving their kids, that the kids will be okay. And for a lot of times, the kids just don't get to deal with that grief. I guess it transitioned into a lot of fighting, a lot of rebellion, and a lot of searching for male role models in my life, wherever I could find them. So at that time in my life, around 11 or 12, I got caught up with a lot of solvent abuse. And with my friends, it was quite extensive. We're talking about solvents, we're talking about, ADOS, F3 glue, spray paint, CRC, petrol. Helped me, I guess, at that point, get away from the hurt and the pain and the anger that I was feeling. As a 14-year-old, waking up constantly with lots of different voices inside my head.
As Murray grew up, his addictions matured as well. Moving on to alcohol and illegal drugs, his life began to spiral out of control.
So from the transition of giving up solvent abuse, then to moving into, marijuana, alcohol, and then even more serious A-class drugs that I got kind of hooked into, and that kind of carried on. I just carried on a cycle of addictions, pornography, gambling. I guess the best way to kind of explain addiction is every day that one thing drives your life. That's all you want to do, is to keep connecting with that one thing every day, because it stops you having to think about the bad things in your life by blanking out the stuff in your mind. There was some times when it got crossed, at least one gang that was threatening, our lives. I was looking at moving my family away and actually trying to get some weapons to protect myself, but I wanted to move my family away first. That's probably a dark moment that it got to that position. That's probably the darkest times, is no control, even though you think you're in control, because you're actually the one getting it and taking it or using it. You think you're controlling it, but it actually controls you.
I was 16 when I first decided to go into nursing, and that was down in Hara. It was an 18-month course. It was on-the-job learning, which I really loved. So in 1998, I came up to New Plymouth and did my bridging course to become an RN. I did that for 2 years, and then my girlfriend suggested that we go to London. Okay, so this is my year that I spent in England, in Sidcup, doing some nursing. This is the area that we stayed in, or this was the dorm that we stayed in. It was City Council rooms. That's the Sidcup Hospital. And that's a group of mainly English, a couple of Irish girls, an English guy, a girl from Trinidad and Tobago, and this girl here is from New Zealand. And that's me on the end. I was there for a year. I decided that 6 months would maybe get me over the homesick side of it. Yeah. So I stayed for a year, and I just got a whole lot of experience from working with different languages, different cultures, and a totally different atmosphere, really. Yeah. I came back after a year. I worked in a stroke unit in Rotorua for 6 months, and then I came back to Taranaki. And that's when I went into practice nursing. I knit quite regularly for the neonatal unit, and some of the stuff goes to Plunkett as well. I have a girlfriend who's a kaifina for the Murray health providers in town, and so I meet up with her every now and again and give her the supplies, and she just hands them out to people that they feel that they need. Yeah, so it's various sizes, but there's a few little wee tiny ones for prem babies. I need this money for warmth for children, and some of the homes that we have out there aren't healthy homes. They're not warm, and I guess it's just something extra for them.
We came to New Zealand on a sabbatical. Somebody here in New Plymouth, who is also from Zimbabwe, called my husband, contacted him and said, look, we've got some jobs available in New Zealand. Would you like to come and have a look? We fell in love with New Plymouth, and here we are 7 years later.
Coming to New Zealand, it's a little bit more like a home back home in Zimbabwe. It's safer for kids. Unlike in the UK, children are always dropped at school, picked up at school. Here kids can get on a bus, they can get to cycle to school. I think we felt here kids can be kids and can grow up much freer.
We like to support, obviously, artists from Zimbabwe. This is done by a gentleman called Barry Lungu. If I look at this, I think of Harare on a rainy day, with the umbrella. And this is just a typical day that people would be walking through the rain. When you move to a new country, it can be very difficult to find community. What a lot of migrants feel is you feel isolated. One of the challenges of moving to a place like New Zealand is time zones for most of our family members and friends are totally different. So you kind of can't speak to people as much as you used to. Everyone on the other side of the world is asleep. So you lose a lot of connections and a lot of your friends from your past because it's not always easy to keep in touch. Schools, especially for an immigrant community, school for children is another great way to meet people and to create community. I've got some great friends that I've made as a result of my child. My daughter joined New Plymouth Adventist Christian School as a year 1 when she was 5 and has maintained the same group of friends since she started.
The thing that I love about my school is that everyone's so friendly and I have lots of friends here. The activities I do at school are, well, we do sometimes gardening. What I love about learning outside is that we have so much space and yeah, it's just lots of places to play. Everyone's just so kind and you can make friends really easily because it's more like a smaller community. My mum is a pharmacist and my dad is a doctor and they both work at Base Hospital. I want to be a doctor like my dad.
Today is a celebration of another year of blessings, hard work, achievement. So thank you for joining us and showing your support. It means a lot to us. These children are consistently above in all areas. Next one is for Abigail.
Now retired in New Plymouth, Ian spends much of his spare time in the New Start Gardens.
My mother taught me to garden when I was a kid. And also I worked in the bush for 3 years in Victoria in Australia. And when I was there, part of my job was to do the vegetable garden. So I suppose I thought it was a natural thing for me to go and work the garden down there. I've had guys who have been prisoners and who have committed crime come down there and work with us down there. And some of them go off then and do their time, and then they come back and they turn their lives right around. And it's really cool to see those things happening down there.
We are very, very fortunate and we are based at New Start Gardens and I run 3 courses. We do everything from growing from seeds to transplanting to making sure that the community garden beds are all full. Well, we've got around about 2 acres of gardens. There are the vegetable beds. There are 2 plots that are leased, one to Tuiora and Pathways, which is a mental health service, and they actually bring their clients in once a week to play in the gardens. It's really good for your mental health to be playing in the soil. Gardening is really, really good for mental health, but it's also really good to be part of a community garden where we're actually giving back. So it's really good from our perspective because my students are learning about all the different aspects of the community garden, from seed raising through to actually harvesting. But it's also just nice to be part of something that's bigger than we are.
The main philosophy of the gardens here is it's a place where people and plants grow together.
After the produce in the garden is harvested, a delivery team takes food to the community. People are provided with healthy food and caring friendships.
Well, in this day and age, there's lots of single women who have 1 or 2 children who are on the benefit, who are struggling to keep clothes on their children, struggling also to feed their children. Well, we harvest like on a Friday, and then in the afternoon There's 4 teams, and they go out one team every week, and they take it out to the community, and they knock on their doors and give them.
Yes, the food is picked this morning from New Start Gardens. Cabbage, carrots, broccoli, lettuce, lemons, yeah. And the bread's picked up twice a week from 2 or 3 women that go out, I think mainly from Bateman's Bakery. They give us all the bread that's left over, so that comes from there. What size family we're packing for, everything pretty much goes in. I just enjoy going out, meeting the people, providing them with some food. Keeps me busy at the end of the week. So we pack the vegetables. We all have a list of people that we're going to go out and distribute this food from. We load it in our car and we head off, and Marlene and I do the area, Drake Street, over to West Town, and that takes us roughly probably about 2 hours. Yeah, I think a lot of people out there are embarrassed that they need this extra help, and quite often we just have a hello and goodbye, or how has your week been? Some people want to talk, some people don't probably actually even want the food, they want to chat. Actually, it gives me a sense of appreciation for what I have already. Anyway, how fortunate we are in New Zealand to have what we do have, and everybody has a different path in life. It doesn't always go well for some people.
After reconnecting with a pastor who mentored him when he was a teen, Murray forced himself to face what his addictions were doing to his life, his marriage, and his parenting. His newfound drive and focus followed a renewal of his relationship with God.
So 2011, I just said to my mum one day, I think I want to go to church today. And that day was the day that I gave my heart to the Lord, and that was the day that I never turned back. The first time that I properly connected with Pastor Tata again. Yeah, it was a prodigal son moment. I'm not, Pastor Tata is not my dad, but he was always a strong male role model in my life, and very fortunate to have him in my life, and the many lessons that he's taught me, and the way that I've been able to learn different things from him. So, and that basically, me giving my heart to the Lord, me connecting with Pastor Tata again, kind of just set our whole family on a new pathway. After giving my heart back to the Lord, it changed, it transformed my family, and I knew it needed to be done as a family. So we all got baptised together, which was, it's just an amazing thing to do, get baptised with your whole family. And it kind of started a new journey for us, like it transformed our whole family. The way we are now to the way we used to be is just totally different.
New Plymouth Adventist Christian School is an amazing little school. Been on the board as a parent representative for 3 years. Our presiding member resigned. I was then nominated to become the chairman of the board. Our school is actually part of a farm. There's a river down at the bottom. The children, they have gardens, and sometimes, there's veggies available for parents to pick up. But I think the children being able to learn things about growing their own food and, learning about nature and about trees is an invaluable lesson. And it is a great community. It's a great little school. I am able to have my daughter play with families and children who have similar values to mine and who understand where I'm coming from when I say no to certain things and yes to certain things.
The church, the school and the gardens, they are all interconnected. We work together a lot, and the people are kind, friendly, understanding, and they work together to accomplish a lot of these things.
Our church community up here on the hill, it consists of our church. We have the New Start Gardens, which provide the food for our food run. We have the school, a growing school that's tripled the role in the last year or so. It's just thriving. And a bunch of friendly people that really want to get out and serve the community. Jesus fed the crowds. He fed people first and foremost. And so I think that that's a really good motive for me to go out, and it feels right.
If we can feed the people, like Christ says, in Matthew 25, when you do these to the least of these, my people, you've done it unto me.
When you move to a new country, it can be very difficult to find community, but we've been very fortunate in that being members of the Adventist Church, we've always managed to find community within the church. We have found family, or whanau, broken bread together, and in Zimbabwe, where I come from, we say, relationships are built through food. So we've broken bread together with members of our church community, and I think that's part of our family now.
I don't think man was made to live in isolation, but if we don't have face-to-face contacts with people every day, then we are going to suffer as a human race. We learn from each other, we give, we receive. So coming into this church every Sabbath or meeting up with friends from the church during the week is a well-being for me. It keeps me up and going. We get community, we get family.
Life is far too short to live in isolation. In fact, you and I were designed for community. We all need friends. We all need support. We all need a home. If you're in New Plymouth, please stop by for a visit. Come to 41 Saxton Road, New Plymouth, and enjoy a joyful time of worship. If you're somewhere else, just Google Seventh-day Adventist and find the nearest school and church to you. You're always home at your local Adventist community.